Hello, hello, and welcome to Hygiene Elevated Conversations and Innovations. We've got a full screen. If you are following along on YouTube, you can see all four of us here. So we are very excited. This is kind of an announcement podcast. If you followed along with our special announcement that Joffrey and I had, she kind of gave an update from Under One Roof of kind of an expansion that Hygiene Elevated was going to go under. And so this is kind of an introduction of our growth partners, Olivia and Nicole. So Olivia, actually, no, not Olivia, sorry. Joffrey, I kind of want to hear you first talk about kind of your vision, what happened, how did Hygiene Elevated grow like this? We've had so many wins. But let's talk about where in the world did you come up with this idea?
Okay, great question, Amanda, because like all my ideas, they come out of the middle of nowhere, right? So this one was just kind of born right after Under One Roof on the way home. So if anyone was at Under One Roof knows how crazy it was when the Delta flights were getting like canceled and everyone's was getting rescheduled. And I just so happened to live in Utah, the same location as the Hygiene Edge gals. And their flight was canceled and they were getting a rental car. And they said, Joffrey, do you want to join us in our rental car? And I kind of thought, do I sit at the airport and maybe it gets canceled, or do I jump in the rental car? And I just jumped in the car. I'm like, let's go. I'm in. So they came and swooped me up at baggage claim and we took a road trip together. But if anybody is familiar with Hygiene Edge, I'm pretty sure they have like 100,000 subscribers, so they should be well known. They are incredible hygienists, incredible mentors, and so it was really truly just like a very special experience to get a car ride with them. And it was sitting in the front seat with Shelly in a rainstorm talking about the podcast and my vision for the podcast, where I thought it was going to be going, and the dilemma I had with acquiring a new position and how was I going to keep the growth of the podcast happening. So I said, I was explaining to her my idea of what if we brought on a few more co-hosts to help get like more episodes out, to get more guests on, just to make our movement bigger. And when Shelly said that was a great idea, that was like all I needed to just
confirmation,
push on the gas and make all this happen.
I love that story because I just think taking a road trip with the Hygiene Edge ladies would have been the funniest thing ever. Okay, so as always, I feel like I'm the naysayer in our relationship, and I'm always like, what are you thinking? But I go along with it because I'm just up for whatever. And I'm like, she's proven me wrong multiple times. I'm just here for it. And I'll make the posts as we go along. So, you already had people in mind. So you got home at like 4:00 in the morning from your wild road trip. I flew Southwest, so I safely made it home by 6:00 Saturday night. So you call me at like an ungodly hour on Saturday or Sunday, and you were like, I have so many ideas. You have to let's talk. We have to talk. Let's talk about this. And I'm like, actually, I'm on the phone with somebody. I just took your call because I was concerned. So, but you were already planning this expansion because the core of everything with you, Joffrey, with Hygiene Elevated is how can we take hygienists in our profession to the next level? And so the idea of branching out and bringing people along made sense. When you said it, I was still like, what? But it made sense. It felt very on brand. But you already had people in mind. So talk about that.
It's true. You're right. I didn't mention that. I kind of already spaced that part. I feel like things have progressed so far. I forget like all the baby steps we took. But yeah, Hygiene Elevated, the core of the company has always been to support hygienists, help them elevate as professionals, and provide support. And so when the idea of bringing on more co-hosts and hopefully these new co-hosts get the opportunity to expand their careers. It really did feel in line with brand as well. And that's probably what made it make the most sense in my head, like to pull the trigger and like move forward with this, because I want so many hygienists to be successful and happy in their professions. And success and happiness would look different to anybody. So whatever they're looking for, I want them to have that. And you're right. We did have some people in mind already. So I had somebody in mind, and you had somebody in mind, Amanda. And now here we are.
Here we are. So, I'll kind of go first. You had mentioned this whole thing, and I was still kind of trying to get my mind around what this was going to look like. And you had already mentioned that you had somebody in mind, and I was like, okay, I guess we'll have that third person. And then Olivia reached out to me and asked about um, a program that she had heard about. Oh, so the Diamond Dental Coaches with their program. And not trying to pirate you at all, Olivia, although maybe I was. Just kidding. But you had mentioned that you were really trying to grow yourself professionally, which in my mind, you've achieved because you're so well spoken. Your online presence is like your content is amazing. So when you had kind of reached out about that, I was like, hey, I have an idea. Like I know just the thing. So what was your kind of response? Actually, let me stop and step back. Where are you at professionally for those who don't know Olivia Talks Hygiene? Who are you?
Um, Olivia Talks Hygiene, that's me. I've been a hygienist for 16 years, and right now I manage a clinical team of a private practice. So thankfully, I've been able to transition my role to a 100% remote role, which has been beautiful. So I spend a lot of time speaking with patients over Zoom about their saliva tests and doing HR things for the practice. And then with my social media, Olivia Talks Hygiene, I just share practical tips that help with professional development and growth and keeping our clinical life happy. And then I've also written some articles that you can find online about having successful teams and navigating some professional sticky situations that we can get into.
I I am such a fan, and I have said this the last time we had you on the podcast. I was like, I am such a fan of all of your social media stuff because of the practicality. I'm like, how does she come up with this? So I've been a fan forever and a day. So that's
Thank you
my
so
my
much.
2 cents.
Yeah, and thanks for pushing me to be out there. We met each other at the RDH Evolution Conference, and back then I didn't even want to be on social media at all. But seeing you guys do it and how much fun you have with it has helped push me to put myself out there, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. Sometimes the creativity comes in booms, and sometimes it goes down, but we're having fun.
Yes, no, that's very true. Okay, Joffrey, I'll turn it over to you to kind of introduce who you had in mind for this whole expansion project.
Okay, so we had like the same vision, right? Like we wanted to bring hygienists in that were driven and that just you just look at them and you know like amazing things are going to happen in their lives. And let me tell you about Nicole here, who is joining our podcast as one of our co-hosts. So Nicole is a new graduate, and she is the most driven hygienist I think I have ever met. And she is so organized and just on top of her shit. She's just on top of it. And I admire that about her so much. And seeing her as a new graduate, just this completely like set of eyes that I don't have anymore. And so I felt like Nicole would bring a component to the podcast that I'm lacking in. She's got these fresh eyes. And can I also just say, she has experience podcasting too, which I was also very attracted to. I'm like, she already knows how to do this. Let's bring her in. So and when I was a guest on her podcast, I just fell in love. Her and Mia are wonderful. They are so kind. And to have Nicole, like, and Olivia, have both of these women say yes to contributing to the podcast is like a dream. I'm really happy that we're here today.
Yeah, we are definitely amongst peers, if not a little bit more advanced than ourselves in certain things. So we're honored to have you guys on the team. So Nicole, do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself? You're a new grad, but tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so I just graduated a couple of months ago, actually. So as new as they can possibly come, that's me. I was in the dental field for almost 15 years as an assistant. I've worked endo, perio, pedo, you name it, I've done it. And I was just kind of ready to take the next step. I've always had an immense passion for dentistry, not just as a hygienist, but as an assistant. I was the assistant that said to my doctors, "Can I come to conferences with you? Can I tag along for CEs that I didn't even need?" And I would sit there and take notes, and I just was so interested in every part of dentistry that it just made sense to elevate my career. And that's what I did. So I went to school and I never looked back. I've loved every moment of it. School's hard, of course, but it was like an enjoyable ish moment, I guess you could say. And now that I'm currently practicing, it's just, there's those difficult days for sure, but I just love it. And my eventual goal is to be working clinically, but also to be working with other opportunities outside of the clinic. And that's kind of why I was super excited when you guys approached me, because like Joffrey was saying, I do have my own podcast and we do a lot with supporting new grads and students. And that's kind of what I like to do, is to help those that are trying to decide whether they want to be a hygienist, how to be a hygienist, things like that. I like to be supportive for those people. And so I was really excited to join you guys because you have such incredible passions, each of you, and they're also different. So I feel like every time I listen to one of your episodes in general, I learn something new, because whether or not it's somebody that you're interviewing, you both have such like strong, wonderful ideas that you bring to the table that are just amazing. So I was more than happy when you were like, "Hey, you want to join us?" I'm like, "You bet I do want to join you. You absolutely bet." Because it's so hard to find people that are not burnt out, that are not saying, "Oh, I don't want to do this. This is just a job." It's like the people that really enjoy their career and want to elevate and want to do something more. Those are the people that I want to surround myself with. And you guys are definitely them. So I'm really excited.
Thank you. That was such a podcaster explanation. Good job, Nicole. Okay. I mean, Joffrey or anybody, if anybody wants to add any final remarks, be prepared. This next year,
really happy to be here.
we're all just happy to be here. This is all just part of the Joffrey show, really.
Yeah.
So.
And I can just say, from the receiving end of this invitation, that it's beautiful to see at the heart and core of a company their values shining through in the decisions that you make and the way that you share the platform that you've gained. So thank you for leading with integrity and with heart, and we're excited to be here. And I know that we're gonna bring some new vibes that are gonna be nice. We're gonna have fun.
We are gonna have fun, that's for sure. Yeah. So yeah, moving forward on the podcasts, everybody's going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be just me and Joffrey anymore. We're all going to kind of be tag teaming. So a lot of really great different experiences and perspectives. So I'm very excited for this next chapter of Hygiene Elevated.
Before we pop off here, I just want to say I'm also super excited to see what type of guests, like who Olivia and Nicole are going to bring on the show, because I know Amanda so well, so I kind of like know her vision even before, like almost before she knows it. Like I kind of like sense that someone's coming on, like spider senses, like I'm really excited to see who you guys bring and get to learn from, because the whole podcast is about learning and sharing information. And so you guys have like this whole view on the hygiene culture that I don't have spidey senses on yet. So I'm like staying tuned. I'm really excited to see what you guys
I'm just old and predictable.
All right. Okay, stay tuned, everybody. We've got good stuff coming.
Yay.